Well, there is nothing quite like the splash of a little bit of water, the water pop of the grain on a freshly cut piece of wood, opening up a log for the first time. Once you do it, you will become addicted, and it will be the thrill of the hunt, cracking open a piece of wood. And then the next thing you know, you're going to be getting bigger chainsaws and getting bigger Alaskan mills. So yeah, we have two mills going on in this video. We're going to focus in on a 60-inch mill, but at the same time, I am putting a 72-inch mill together. So this will be mill Granberg Alaskan mill number 4 and number 5 for me. So as I said, once you get into this, you will you'll get a little bit addicted. You can see on the back there is a steel 661, and that has a 36-inch mill to it. The assembly of a Granberg Alaskan mill is pretty straightforward. If you're going to start milling wood, you're not going to have a problem putting a mill together. And in both of these mills, I've added a couple extra things. First off, there are what's called a C2 parts kit. It comes with an in bracket and an on-off bracket, as they call it. On-off bar, technically. And that's where that handle is. That's the one that goes in between the two rails. Now, that helps give it a little bit more rigidity. Each of those are about 11 to 12 inches apart, depending on which mill you're on. The 72 is going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to do a whole video about the 72-inch, and it's a great time to answer that question before you guys get your sprocket sprung. Why are you doing a 60-inch and a 72-inch? Well, I have two chainsaws. One of them, I've got more than two chainsaws, if you know me. There's a 661 there, and that's running the 3/8-inch chain. And then the 881 that's just on the back of the table, that is running a 404. So they're going to have different kerf widths, and I'm going to do a whole video later about how much each of those will take out and when will I use one for the other. And here is where everyone loses their bananas also is, I just paid $500, $600, $700 for a bar. I'm not going to cut a hole in it, drill a hole in it. Yes, you are. You only buy a 60-inch mill, a 48-inch mill, bar, if you're going to be milling wood. So be serious about that. You're not going to buck wood with a 72-inch mill, and you're going to want the extra oil in there. So just figure it out, drill those holes, and get the mill in the groove where it needs to be. It wasn't that bad. I fretted just a teeny bit, but once you take the time and line it all up, it's not that big of a deal. And after that was on, then I could get the last end bracket all tightened up in there. Once everything is lined up, that's when I go back and do my tighten everything up and really figure it out. Finish assembling the winch. Those little balls, you have to use a pliers or a channel lock to get on there and tighten them. I throw a cloth on there so they tighten up. They just don't get tight by themselves without a little extra crank on them. Oiler went on, and probably the most difficult decision I had to make is where was I going to put all of the Granberg stickers. I don't want them in my truck and cover up the rust, but I put the cute little square one right underneath the handle, so when you're watching me on some of the videos, maybe you'll see it there. And then the nice longer rectangle, I can't remember who had it. There's somebody out there who has it on the end of their mill, and I said, hey, that looks like a good idea. I'm going to do that. I did throw a little bit of clear package tape over each of the stickers because, I don't know, maybe that helps them wear a little bit better. But now it's time to take the 60-inch mill out and give it a test log. So time for the first cut. If you have any questions about, how and why and what I did as an assembly, I'll definitely answer any questions in the comments. And then there's a lot of great videos out there. Jared over at Second Life Design has a excellent video on putting the auxiliary oiler on and drilling the holes and everything. So that's well worth checking that one out. And now it's time to do, it's fun when you do your first cut with something. But I'm calling this a test log. I plan on doing an easy 3 or 4 test logs. Shorter logs, if it gets screwed up, I'm not too worried about it. I got a couple specific logs that I'm doing. Getting the 60 inch is going to be used for. But the bigger thing is, there's a few more things, just getting the oiler. I have an Alaskan winch on my 36-inch mill, but just the whole process of milling and watching and everything, I think it takes a couple of times, not to where you get to the point where you're not paying attention or anything, but just where you need to be watching everything. I can say the first time I milled with my little mill, I was so excited that I didn't tighten everything down, and next thing you know, I was cutting through one of the bolts on there. So there's a lot of little things like, hey, oh yeah, that's right, let's turn on the auxiliary oiler. You put it on there. That's what I'm talking about. Just until you get a routine, until you get your checklist, your mental checklist of what you're going to do when you start milling, and all of those little pieces, and have everything there. Because there's a little bit more, especially if you're milling by yourself, you just have a few more steps, and nobody else is going to be there to do the wedge, to watch things, to see the bolts, to catch all of that stuff. But all of that stuff just comes with time, being on your mill. And wow, it's pretty exciting. This was a lot. There's a little bit of a long lead up to getting this mill set up, and absolutely love it. I think everything about it. So we'll cover more when we do a little video on the 72-inch. But for now, just enjoy this nice big thing. I have another little video with just the chainsaw running and not me yakking. So check that out. Put a description up there, or put a link to up there. And I do appreciate you following along and giving the video a little thumbs up, and following, subscribing, doing all that stuff. Yeah, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up. That was fun. All right, that's going to do it. Glenn here, workshop at the Gardens, out in the sawmill shed, because we're sawing wood. Yeehaw! There you go. Thanks a lot. Cheers.